Verstappen does not need to leave Red Bull to terrify them. He only needs the exit clause to exist, because his contract may run until 2028, but it is tied to performance. And right now, Red Bull is not performing. Verstappen is 7th in the championship. Red Bull is 4th in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are all ahead, and the RB22 is nowhere near the machine that once made Max look untouchable. That is why Mekies should be worried, because Verstappen is not asking for more money. He is asking for proof. Proof the car can win again. Proof the Ford project can recover. Proof Formula One's new rules will not keep producing cars he hates driving. Proof Red Bull's new era is not already falling apart. And if Red Bull cannot give him that proof, the clause becomes more than contract language. It becomes an escape route. Austria should be Red Bull's home fortress. Instead, it may become the weekend everyone realizes Verstappen's future is no longer guaranteed. Subscribe to the channel. Red Bull should be arriving in Austria with power. Not just horsepower. Power over the story. Power over the paddock. Power over Verstappen's future. This is their home race. Their circuit. Their brand on the banners. Their history built into the Red Bull ring. For years, Austria felt like the perfect place for Red Bull to remind everyone who they were. Verstappen would arrive. The crowd would explode. The orange smoke would rise. And the weekend would feel like a celebration of dominance. But now, the same place feels different. Because Austria is no longer just a home race. It is a pressure test. And the reason is simple. The exit clause changes the meaning of everything. A normal contract gives a team comfort. It tells the world the driver is tied down. It tells sponsors a project is stable. It tells engineers the future has a center. It tells rivals not to waste time dreaming. But Verstappen's contract is not just comfort. It contains performance-related protections. That means Red Bull cannot hide behind the length of the deal forever. They can say he is signed until 2028, and that is true. But the deeper question is not whether the paper exists. The deeper question is whether Verstappen still believes the paper leads somewhere worth going. That is what terrifies Mekies, because Verstappen is not a driver who needs Red Bull to give him identity anymore. He already has that. He already has the titles. He already has the records. He already has a place in Formula One history. He does not need to stay in a declining project just to prove loyalty to the past. He needs a future. And right now, Red Bull has not proven the future is safe. That is the first major problem. The car, the RB22, is not the kind of car that makes Verstappen sign anything early. It is not dominating. It is not controlling the championship. It is not forcing Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren to react. It is not giving Max the feeling that the old Red Bull machine has simply had one bad weekend and will soon return to normal. It looks like a car from a team rebuilding. And Verstappen is not in Formula One to rebuild slowly from 7th. That number matters. 7th in the championship. For many drivers, 7th would still be respectable. For a smaller team, it would be celebrated. For a young driver, it might be proof of progress. But for Max Verstappen in a Red Bull, after everything this partnership has done, 7th is not a position. It is an alarm. Because Max does not measure himself against ordinary standards. He measures himself against domination, against race wins, against championship control, against a kind of ruthless consistency that made rivals feel beaten before the Grand Prix had even started. That is gone right now. And when that is gone, the clause becomes louder. It sits behind every question. Why would Max commit? Why would he remove protection? Why would he extend beyond 2028? Why would he trust Red Bull's next era before Red Bull proves it can win in this one? Those questions are not media games. They are the real questions inside this crisis. And Mekies knows it. He can say there is zero concern. He can say Verstappen is still pushing hard on every detail. He can say the relationship with the team remains strong. He can say Max is still giving precise feedback, still working, still committed to extracting performance. But that does not answer the contract question, because effort is not the same as belief. A driver can work hard in the present while refusing to sign the future. A driver can give everything on Sunday while keeping his options open on Monday. A driver can love winning with a team and still refuse to attach himself to a version of that team that no longer looks capable of winning. That is where Red Bull is trapped. They still have Verstappen's professionalism. They do not yet have his long-term faith. And the exit clause makes that difference dangerous, because the clause turns every Red Bull weakness into leverage for Max. Every poor qualifying, every race where the car cannot reach the podium, every weekend where Mercedes and Ferrari look stronger, every sign that the Ford project is still behind, every reminder that Newey is gone, Horner is gone, and the old Red Bull structure has changed. All of it becomes evidence. Evidence that Verstappen is right to wait. Evidence that he should not rush. Evidence that the clause should stay exactly where it is. That is why Red Bull's reported attempt to persuade him to remove or release provision matters so much. A team does not ask for that unless it feels exposed. And a driver does not refuse unless he knows the protection still has value. That refusal is not dramatic. It is worse. It is logical. Max is saying, without needing to say it loudly, that Red Bull has not earned the right to take away his escape route. And that is the sentence that should keep Mekies awake. Because the exit clause is not only about leaving, it is about trust. If Verstappen fully trusted Red Bull's direction, the clause would feel less important. If the car was winning, the clause would be background noise. If the power unit was strong, if the team structure felt stable, if the regulations suited his driving instincts, Red Bull could look at the contract and breathe. But none of those things are fully true right now. The power unit project is still trying to prove itself. The team structure has changed dramatically. The car is not winning. The championship is moving away. And Verstappen has made it clear that he does not even enjoy the new generation of cars. That last point is the most dangerous one, because Red Bull can fix a car. Maybe they can bring upgrades. They can change setup philosophy. They can improve correlation. They can push the engine project. They can restructure departments. They can recruit. They can throw everything at performance. But Red Bull cannot alone fix Verstappen's problem with Formula One's direction. He has said the new cars are not a lot of fun. He has said the feeling is not very Formula One-like. He has compared them to Formula E on steroids. He has attacked the constant management and the anti-racing feel. That is not a normal complaint. That is a driver questioning whether the sport still gives him the experience he wants. And a driver who is questioning the sport is much harder to convince than a driver questioning one team. If Verstappen only disliked the RB22, Mekies could promise development. But if Verstappen dislikes the philosophy of the cars, Mekies needs more than development. He needs Formula One itself to give Max a reason to continue. That is what makes the situation so fragile. Red Bull is trying to keep a driver whose doubt is bigger than Red Bull. The clause gives Verstappen time to wait for answers. Will the FIA adjust the future direction? Will Formula One listen to the drivers? Will the 60-40 power split remain? Will the cars continue to feel like management machines instead of pure racing cars? Will Red Bull's Ford project become strong enough to fight Mercedes and Ferrari? Will the team rebuild fast enough before Max decides his patience is gone? Until those questions are answered, Verstappen has no reason to hand Red Bull more certainty than Red Bull can hand him. That is why the clause terrifies them. It makes the uncertainty official. And official uncertainty changes how everyone behaves. Inside Red Bull, every department knows the future of the team depends on convincing one man. Not because the other drivers do not matter. Not because the whole team is only Verstappen. But because Max is irreplaceable in a way very few drivers ever become. You can hire speed. You can hire talent. You can hire experience. You cannot quickly replace the exact force Verstappen became inside Red Bull. He is not just a driver in their history. He is the standard. That is why losing him, or even appearing at risk of losing him, would shake the whole structure. Engineers know it. Shareholders know it. Sponsors know it. Rivals know it. And Verstappen knows it too. That is leverage. Quiet, powerful leverage. He does not have to use it loudly. He does not have to threaten interviews. He does not have to create open conflict with Mekies. He can simply stand on the contract he already has, keep the clause, refuse to rush a future deal, and let Red Bull prove itself. That is the most uncomfortable kind of pressure for a team principal. Because Mekies cannot win it with one statement. He has to win it with months of evidence, a better car, a clearer technical direction, a stronger power unit, a stable leadership structure, a reason for Verstappen to believe that the next Red Bull era will not be a decline. That is a massive burden. And Austria makes it heavier, because at the Red Bull ring, every weakness will feel symbolic. If Red Bull is slow here, it will not just be a bad weekend. It will feel like the team failing on its own stage. If Verstappen is frustrated here, it will sound louder because the crowd expects Red Bull to matter. If Ferrari, Mercedes, or McLaren look stronger, the contrast will hurt more because this is supposed to be Red Bull's home. Home races do not hide pressure. They magnify it. And for Mekies, Austria is full of traps. If he says Red Bull is calm, people will ask why Verstappen will not extend. If he says Max is committed, people will ask why the clause remains important. If he says the team is improving, people will point to 7th in the championship. If he says the future is bright, people will ask why Max is waiting. There is no easy answer because the only answer that matters has to come from the car, and the car has not said enough yet. That is why the first block of this story is not really about legal language. It is about performance pressure. The exit clause terrifies Red Bull because it turns performance into a contract negotiation every single weekend. Every lap becomes part of the argument. Every race result becomes a reason to stay or a reason to wait. Every upgrade becomes a test of whether Red Bull can still build around Verstappen properly. That is exhausting for the engineers, for the leadership, for the drivers, for the entire organization. Because Red Bull is not just trying to climb back toward the front. It is trying to climb back fast enough that Verstappen does not mentally leave before the car returns. That is the real race, not the Austrian Grand Prix. The race for Max's belief. And right now, Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are making that race harder. Mercedes gives Red Bull a comparison it cannot enjoy. Antonelli leads the championship. Russell is ahead. The team looks like it has the kind of competitive platform Red Bull used to own. Ferrari gives Red Bull a different kind of problem. Hamilton has momentum. Leclerc is in the fight. Ferrari looks like a team rising, not fading. That matters because Verstappen can see that other giants are moving forward. McLaren adds pressure too. A strong McLaren makes Red Bull look even less secure because it shows the decline is not only about Mercedes and Ferrari. Red Bull has been pushed down by more than one rival. 4th in the Constructors' Championship is not a blip. It is a message, and Verstappen is reading it. He is reading the championship table. He is reading the technical direction. He is reading the political direction of the sport. He is reading Mekies' leadership. He is reading whether Red Bull still feels like a place where championships are built. That is why he refuses to rush. From his point of view, waiting is the smartest move. He has time. He has status. He has leverage. He has a contract. He has protection. Red Bull is the side that needs reassurance. That reversal is brutal. For years, teams feared Red Bull because Verstappen made them look helpless. Now Red Bull fears uncertainty because Verstappen is the one holding the power. The same driver who once gave them dominance now forces them to prove they still deserve him.